What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Listen, today I'm just on a crazy roll. I probably didn't record like 5 or 6 videos already. And I'm saying got some stuff going on right now. We're just trying to take care of some business. So today's the day, man. We're just killing it today. Shout out to everybody that been showing love to the videos, man. We've been leaving like, comments, dislikes. I'm saying whatever it is, find the video inspirational. I find it as motivation. Find it as whatever it is. But listen, we have another deep video today. We'll speak in depth of this video today. And shout out to the brother Santi Diego. It's a lovely channel over there. I see some of the stuff they talk about is very good. So today we're gonna get deep. And the title says from manipulated to manipulator. Mac Mackie Mackie Machiavellish brutal psychology. My bad for butchering the name. But you know what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. I'm not really good with saying ancient names like that. I realize a couple of them I struggle with, but we're gonna get into it, speak on it. Let's go, people. Let's go.
Do you believe that your decisions are truly your own? Or is there something or someone influencing your thoughts without you even realizing it? Most people like to think that they have complete control over their choices, but this is the most dangerous illusion in the social game. Invisible manipulation is not about giving orders or imposing rules. It operates at the subtle level, where the victim believes they are making decisions on their own, when in fact, they are simply following a carefully planted path. This is what happens when you choose a product without realizing that you have been convinced by marketing before you even consider buying it. Or when you advocate an idea with conviction without realizing that this idea has been gradually implanted in your mind through repetition. The most effective control comes not from force.
I think one thing I think a lot of us don't fully realize, we're all inspired by something. So, anything we do is inspired by something we've seen or somebody we've seen do it. So a lot of the times we don't fully just make our own decisions when it comes to doing something or taking part in something. It's like we see it from somebody else or from somewhere that we implement it ourselves and then we take part in it. So a lot of the choices you make is not fully your choice, actually. It always stems from seeing something or seeing somebody do it. So yeah. That's what make you even take part in it because you see somebody doing it and it was good. It was positive. It had a positive outcome. So that build your courage to do it and take part in it. So that's why.
But from suggestion. This brings us to a fundamental principle, the illusion of choice. When you give someone choices, but they all lead to the outcome they want, that person feels in control when in fact they are being guided. This is how great strategists, from politicians to CEOs of major corporations, shape society without arousing suspicion. Think about social media apps. You can post whatever you want, but the algorithm chooses what gets visibility. You can vote
Absolutely.
for whoever you want, but the candidates have been filtered by a system that has
Yeah,
already shaped your perception before you
absolutely.
even decide. Freedom in this game is a relative concept. What makes this manipulation so effective? The answer lies in emotions. People like to believe that they are driven by logic, but the truth is that most human decisions are emotional. Fear, euphoria, pride, and the need to belong are much more powerful forces than any rational argument. If you can associate an idea with a strong feeling, it becomes practically impossible to reject. The greatest manipulators in history understood this perfectly. They did not try to convince people with facts, but rather to make them feel. Adolf Hitler, for example, did not win over crowds with rational arguments, but with impassioned speeches that aroused fear and hope at the same time. The same thing happens with modern marketing. No one buys
But if you understand how convincing, really, how powerful convincing is, because if you can convince somebody to believe in something or see a vision or convince them that something is good or bad, you will assume for to some sort of level, you would have some level of control over them because you convince them that whatever it is, whatever you show them or tell them, or try to perceive to them is real, and it do have some level of substance, right? It's like at a certain level that you have some sort of control over them, if that makes sense.
Buys a cell phone because of its processor, but rather because of the feeling of belonging and status that the brand sells. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of invisible manipulation is the use of mental triggers. A classic example is reciprocity. When someone does something for you, you feel unconsciously inclined to reciprocate. Great salespeople exploit this by offering freebies or favors before presenting the real offer.
Absolutely.
Another trick is scarcity. If a product seems limited, your mind panics and the desire to have it increases. Now think about how many times you have fallen for these tricks without realizing it. When a website says that only 2 units left, you feel an
Right.
urgency that was
The
never
ba-
there
right,
before.
for
When an
absolutely, yeah.
influencer launches an exclusive course with limited spaces, you rush to take it, even without being sure if you really need it. These triggers exploit deep weaknesses in the human psyche and are used daily in advertising, negotiations, and even in personal relationships. The question that few ask themselves is, to what extent are we really in control? Invisible manipulation operates in such sophisticated ways that even those who believe themselves to be resistant end up being influenced. The very idea that you are immune to manipulation may be a reflection of the manipulation itself, and this is the game that few realize they're playing. If there's one name that resonates when we talk about manipulation and power, it's Niccolo Machiavelli. For centuries, he was both admired and feared. His masterpiece, The Prince, is not a textbook on governance, but rather a cold, ruthless study of how to maintain power at any cost. Unlike the moralistic philosophers who debated what constituted just government, Machiavelli wasn't interested in morality. He was interested in effectiveness. For him, what mattered was not being loved or being just, but remaining in control. And his
Right.
main lesson was clear. Manipulation doesn't have to be obvious to be lethal. One of Machiavelli's most controversial ideas is the famous question, is it better to be loved or feared? He answers without hesitation.
And tell you what, that's so powerful because I mean, we all want to be loved, absolutely. But when you have to understand the level of power, the power that's in being feared, or fear in itself. Because if you look at fear in itself, all of us have fear. Is Fear is so powerful that it will have you believe in something that is not real. Let's say for instance, I'm gonna just give a great example. Let's say you have to approach a young lady, and you're like, I'm scared, I'm nervous. That's fear that you feel, and the reason why you feel the fear because you don't know the outcome of you taking that action. All fear is to me is you not knowing the outcome of the action that you're going to take. So if people fear you, people don't people like will think in their mind, oh, I don't know his next move. So I won't even proceed to even make a move because I don't know the next move he might do. Because the next move he might do might just end me off clean. Right. And being feared is way much better than being loved is because people will respect you more. People will know that okay, I just wouldn't mess with him. So naturally you wouldn't have to try to prove I mean how dangerous you are, how wicked you could get because people know I wouldn't even want to try to even find out. And that's the power of fear in itself, right? Very powerful, I'm telling you.
It is desirable to be both, but since it is difficult to combine them, it is much safer to be feared than to be loved. But be careful, he's not talking about being hated. Hatred breeds revolts and conspiracies, something a true manipulator avoids. The ideal is to be feared enough that no one wants to challenge your authority, but respected enough that
That
they see no
right.
reason to rebel.
Yes, yes,
Now think
yes,
about
yes.
how this plays out today. Political leaders control crowds not only through force, but through carefully planted fear, whether it's fear of the enemy, instability, or an uncertain future. In the corporate world, CEOs manipulate employees with the silent threat of replacement. In relationships, some people dominate.
For a long time, I always wanted to talk about this, and it's so funny. Is that you know this whole green movement? And I'll show you how they manipulate people into actually falling so deep into it that people didn't even realize it. And they will tell you, the planet don't have that much years to live, but if we go green, it's gonna save the planet, it's gonna make the planet a better place. Oh my God, it's one of the biggest scams they ever sold to humans ever. But they will not tell you that the batteries they created for the cars is actually creating more damage than the gas cars. They will never tell you that. But it's going green. Let's invest in it. Right? They will tell you, but Elon Musk creating the EVs, but they will not tell you that this majority of the material that they create is actually creating more damage to the earth than if you take the materials for a gas car. We will never speak on that. But again, they'll tell you, well, but if you vote for me, I will try to make things better. I will try to clean the environment and make it go green and everybody just live off electric vehicles because we don't need gas vehicles, but not knowing that the same substance used for the gas, you have to use it for the electric vehicle as well. Some of the same material. So how are you truly saving the planet? Please tell me. I want to know. How are you truly saving the planet? When they could just control the car and just turn it off at any time they want. It's all about control. It's all just to have you in the place that they want you in. It's not where you want to be. It's where they want you to be. But a lot of people don't even realize that. That the whole green movement is all a scam, it's all lies. It's all to perceive it that we are good people when none of them are good people. They've never been good people. All the damage that's happening on the earth right now, all of them created it. They created it, but they will tell you that they're good people so you can believe that they're good people. They would sell safety to you and say that I want you to be safe, not knowing that they don't give a shit about your safety. All they want is control over you and tell you what to do, tell you where to go, tell you what time to eat, tell you what time to go outside, tell you how long you should rest. If we don't realize it, it's gonna be too late. It is slowly becoming too late already. But that's the biggest scam they ever sold to the people. Let's continue.
Their partners by generating a subtle fear of abandonment or rejection. Machiavelli recognized this centuries ago. Fear is a powerful psychological bond, and, if well measured, it keeps people where you want them. Another brilliant tactic described by Machiavelli is the famous divide and conquer. The idea is
Absolutely.
simple. A
Oh my
disunited group
God.
can never organize against you.
Oh my
So,
God.
to maintain
Let's
control,
talk
a
about it.
leader or manipulator must foster internal rivalries within the opposition itself. Think about how modern politicians use this strategy.
God. Listen, that is so powerful. Let's take a again, let's get deep, right? Look at the black community versus the white community, right? That's one. Men and women. And the people who's in control, what the things they have put in place, it is so powerful that you could a lot of people don't even have the an idea of what they're of what these people be doing and how they take things in such a way, it's in a positive, but it will turn it so negative because they have the power to bend reality and make you think things that is not real at all because they have that level of power over you. So understand that. Now we're in a society where men hate women, women hate men, right? So if the two genders cannot come together, how can we ever move forward? How can we have kids and push the society forward? Because if we don't have no kids, pretty soon, in a couple generations, the human race will be extinct. But if we get men and women hating each other more, well, then we're gonna have less kids. So we have less kids. What is that gonna do for us? Have us have more control over people, right? If we have more control over people, guess what? Now we can tell them what to do, right? We can tell them where to go, what to eat, what not to eat, right? So it is a smaller amount of people. So then it's easier to control them. Because if we have a lot more people, it's like harder for us to control. So let's have them hate each other, fight against each other, kill each other, so then we can bring them to a number to where we can control all of them. And that's the goal. That's it. There, there's definitely more, but that is the main objective. Is to get them to fight against each other, kill each other, work against each other, right? And then we have them in a place where we're like, okay, we have enough now. Now we can control that amount of that population. And then, boom, the work is done. That's all they needed from me.
Instead of fighting a unified group, they promote internal divisions, causing adversaries to turn against each other.
Absolutely.
Companies also use this tactic. Instead of allowing employees to unite against the boss, they create internal competitions and bonuses that make them compete against each other. The result? Everyone is too busy fighting each other to notice who is really in control.
Absolutely.
But Machiavelli didn't just describe how to manipulate. He also warned about the dangers of being manipulated. He understood that power is unstable, and that even the most skilled manipulator can be betrayed if he is not careful. No control is absolute, and those who play the game of manipulation must always be alert to the risks. History is full of leaders who fell because they underestimated their opponents or became victims of their own strategies. King Louis XVI, for example, trusted too much in the power structure of the French monarchy and ignored signs of revolt until he was guillotined. Even modern dictators who seem to have absolute control were overthrown when they lost their sense of the game. Here's the paradox. The manipulator can never relax. If you build your power on illusion and psychological control, you must always be alert to the cracks that may appear. Machiavelli
Understand that the reason why you cannot trust everything and everybody is because that people will always be who they are. You cannot change that. So you have to understand dealing with people that whatever they portray to you, whatever characteristics they put in front of you at first, you cannot fully trust that. So that is why you have to be neutral with everything. You cannot fully just give in to everything and think that, well, that's okay. No, you can't. You cannot fully believe nothing because people are actors and some of them are great actors. So that's why you should move on a level where everything is just not just neutral in your mind. So whether it go good or bad, guess what? You're not disappointed because you wasn't expecting nothing good or bad out of it. And that in itself is a power that you supposed to like try to master. Because sometimes we could be fooled by people who act good, or not who, but who are not really good, right? So any situation you go in, anybody you talk to, right? Anything you deal with, you must be in a neutral mind. Because if you're in a neutral mind, no matter how it goes, you will always be happy. You will always be in a good place. You won't be in a bad place, right? You won't be discouraged. You won't be let down because you understand that things could happen and people could change. People could do things that will disappoint you. So when you live life like that, it is way much easier for you to get over stuff because you understand that you were never fully in it. You were never on the right side or the wrong side. You were just in the middle, just waiting to see where is it gonna go. And that in itself is powerful. It take time to really get to that level, but when you do, trust me, it's gonna do you wonders. Let's continue.
knew this, which is why his strategies are not just about gaining power, they are about maintaining it. He understood that effective manipulation requires constant vigilance, strategic adjustments, and sometimes a willingness to sacrifice pawns to preserve the king. And that's the brutal truth about the game of control. If you want to rule, you have to be prepared for the psychological toll it takes. A manipulator's biggest mistake is not failing to control someone, it's being found out. Because the moment their tactics become visible, their influence crumbles.
Absolutely.
Manipulation, by definition, needs to be invisible. If someone realizes they're being played, the relationship changes completely. Trust breaks down, respect dissolves. And even worse, the person who was once a puppet can become an active enemy. An adversary who knows their weapons and now seeks revenge. This brings us to the first fundamental principle of safe manipulation, the smokescreen. If a manipulator wants to remain in control, he can never appear to be a manipulator. The most effective way to hide his game is to appear to be the exact opposite of what he really is.
That's right,
Think
exactly.
of the greatest leaders in history. The most persuasive were not those who imposed themselves through brute force, but those who appeared benevolent and charismatic. The effective manipulator is not the one who presents himself as a master of the game,
Mhm.
but rather as a trusted friend, a guide, an advisor. The secret is to plant ideas without appearing.
You have to understand. Matter of fact, you have to overstand that. You don't ever want to act like you know everything. 'Cause we don't know everything. Even me, I don't know everything. I can only tell you what I know. My experience within the life that I've lived already. That is all I could show you. I cannot show you more. I cannot show you less. Sometimes you truly have to just play stupid. If you want to find out something, all you have to do is play stupid. People will tell you what exactly you need to know. People will show you who they are and tell you who they are. All you have to do is listen and play stupid. Don't feel like you know everything. If you want a certain amount of information out of somebody, all you do is play stupid. Nah, I didn't. Nah, I never heard of that. Tell me more of that. And they start telling you. It's because you show them that in a sense that you don't know. You're ignorant to what they say, and then they'll tell upon themselves, whether it's direct or indirect. All you have to do is listen. But a lot of us like to talk, 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 and don't shut up and listen. So when you shut up and stop listening, then you could actually learn something, actually get some invaluable information that could help you.
To be leading anything. It's the art of making others believe they've come to their own conclusions. But even the most cunning manipulators run an invisible risk: the victim's behavior changing. When someone starts to realize they're being manipulated, the signs come in subtle ways: hesitations in their responses, unexpected resistance, or even small acts of defiance. Here's a simple test. Ask someone for something they would normally accept without question. If that person hesitates or seeks justifications that weren't necessary before, it may be a sign that they've begun to sense your influence. This is the critical moment where many manipulators fail. Instead of backing off and recalibrating their approach, they double down and try to force control. And that, more often than not, leads to their downfall. Another danger that's often overlooked is the mirror effect of manipulation. The more you manipulate, the more paranoid you become. Because once you understand how the game works, you start to see manipulation in everything and everyone. Relationships cease to be authentic and become an eternal game of chess, where every word, every gesture, every expression seems to carry a hidden intention. This can lead to a state of constant vigilance and even isolation. Because when you believe that everything is a game of control, trusting someone becomes impossible.
Impossible, absolutely.
And, ironically, this is the fate of many who delve too deeply into the world of manipulation. They end up becoming prisoners of their own game. That is why the true master of manipulation is not the one who controls everyone around them all the time, but the one who knows when to manipulate and when to back off. Because manipulation cannot be a constant state. It needs to be used strategically at the right times with specific targets. Those who try
There's so much different ways that you could manipulate, so if you understand how to use manipulation in a way that it's gonna benefit you, like you would get so much, like you will gain so much. And it is a it is a dark state of mind, because especially if you know you're doing it, right? And then when you reflect upon, you realize, oh, why did I do that? But again, sometimes you need to do it, especially in the society we live in. Sometimes you need to do it. And that's the only way you could truly be successful. Because if you go and you just try to be a good person, like the best person ever, people will take advantage of you. So therefore, you cannot even truly be a truly a good person, right? And that's the thing, you be good and people will still try to take advantage of you. That's crazy.
to manipulate everything all the time, wear themselves out, and inevitably make mistakes. The game of control is not about dominating everyone around you, but about knowing which battles are worth fighting and which risks should not be taken. And, in the end, the question remains, is manipulation really power? Or is the real power in influencing without having to resort to these games? Because in the
Well,
end,
I mean,
even the most skilled manipulator can be manipulated back. Manipulation is a powerful tool, but like any weapon, it can backfire on the wielder. Controlling without being noticed requires strategy, patience, and a deep understanding of human psychology. The greatest manipulators in history were not only masters of influence, they also knew when to stop, when to back off, and when to let others believe they were in control. But now the question is, where do you stand in this game? Are you the player?
if you understand that influence in itself is something that comes from you first, the influence starts with you. Because if I'm the influencer of my life, guess what? People will follow me of who I am, not what I portray to the world. Because I could act in a certain way, but that doesn't mean I'm this way. But if I live by it every single day, what I say and what I do, guess what? Slowly and slowly, people will start following me because I influence them to be who I am. Because I'm myself. I'm not changing. I'm not putting on a mask to put on a show for nobody. It's just no. That's just who I am. That's who he is. I cannot change that. I will never change that. And that in itself will inspire people or influence people to want to be like you or to want to adapt some of the traits you have. It's because you're keeping it so real with who you are that they have no choice but to follow what you do or be inspired by what you do, or be influenced by what you do. So you have to understand that if you truly stay yourself and you truly live a life that's different from people or from the average person, that in itself you will have influence over people. And that in itself is powerful, better than manipulation, far by far. You understand? So just be who you are and stick to it, right? Don't lie about it. Understand where you stand and be honest with yourself. Improve and come better and just do your best. Give it your best every single time that you can.
Or the peace? Are you pulling the strings or are you being manipulated without realizing it? Because the truth is that no one is ever completely in control. Even the greatest strategists end up at some point trapped in the webs they themselves have created. The real power lies not in manipulating everyone around you, but in understanding how the game works. Because when you understand the rules, you can choose how to play them. You can defend yourself, you can influence, you can observe. The danger is not in knowing how to manipulate, it is in becoming blinded by your own control. So the final big question is, if you have the ability to manipulate, should you use that power? Or is the true master the one who doesn't need this game to win? And in the end,
Well, listen, manipulation is something I feel like will always be used to gain control, influence as well. So if you understand how to use your influence and you understand how to use manipulation, if you tie them together and you understand, okay, I'm using it in the right way to gain what I want, that is absolutely fine. You know, that's just how it is. And you can't truly change that. It's just like, that's something that should just come natural to you, especially your influence, because that's who you truly are. You should never put on the front when it comes to having influence, because eventually it will show. It will show. You can't fake that forever. Yeah, that will show eventually. But if you like the video, leave a like, comment. Today we had that was a pretty good video. I still feel like I didn't speak enough, but I feel like I spoke on the most important things in the video. And shout out to everybody that been showing love to the videos, man. Like these for the past couple of days has been showing love on a lot of the videos, man. So I just want to say thank you. I just want to show gratitude towards you. Say thank you for the support. Thank you a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. Like that means something to me. So yeah, I just wanted to just take you out there and have a lovely rest of your day. See you later. Peace and love. Go on.